Hey y'all, so I'm here. I did not expect to review this show. Not at all. That's why I'm even standing up and I'm not even sitting down. I did not expect to review this show. But a comment made at the end really made me want to come here. And also, I really like the episode and I like the direction that they're going. But I'm really here to defend all 90s babies. I'm here to defend well, not all my 90s babies. From 95 and up, y'all get a little weird to me. But for the rest of us, I'm still going to defend us. That's what I'm here for. But let's let's go. We are here to talk about Love and Marriage DC. It's gonna take me a minute to say that and not Huntsville, but DC. Okay. Now, if you guys do not know, Chris and Monique will not be on this season. I think they had came out like earlier this year, pretty much saying like or last year, late last year, that they weren't going to be filming anymore. They were going to be trying to focus on their marriage and stuff, right? So, sorry, I'm gonna be drinking, y'all. I'm not drinking, but yeah. So, pretty much the way that we start this episode off is pretty much with the news. And this is what I feel. I feel like what they talked about in the beginning is kind of what led to them saying they're not going to be on the show. So, it pretty much starts off with, DJ Quicksilver coming into work and then pretty much hearing the news that, it's a rumor out there pretty much saying that Chris and Monique are going, like, they're separated or whatever. But I think Monique and Chris had came out and did a video pretty much saying that they weren't headed for divorce, they weren't separated, none of that stuff like that. So Quick is kind of like, I didn't know that. I wish I would have told me before I got on air, and I don't think that they're actually going to break up. So like I said, in my opinion, I think that whole rumor, and I think it may be having a little truth to it, is probably why they didn't come back on the show. And honestly, like, they weren't really received the best last season. I feel like Monique didn't show herself in the best light last season. And I also feel like their marriage in general didn't come off in the best light last season. So I think maybe they're taking a step away because I think they just don't want to have to continuously answer questions and put their business on Front Street when they're already kind of like struggling. Y'all tell me if y'all caught this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misheard. Tell me if I misheard, y'all. So Ashley and Arena are talking, right? And Ashley, I think in her confessional said, like, well, Monique and Chris's house, their house is big enough to where they can both live on their, on separate wings, to be quite honest. She said, but I guess they decided to do separate wings in Maryland. Did y'all catch that? What is she saying? Is she saying that they do live separately now? I really want to know the answer to that question. But anyway, so you have Ashley and Arena, they're talking or whatever. Arena's gonna be throwing a party for Jason because Jason got into this program. Pretty much that's gonna help him, pretty much live on his own. If y'all don't know, Jason is blind, I believe, or partially blind, mostly blind. And so he got into this program to where pretty much they're gonna like help him pretty much like try to do for himself, live on his own. So he ain't gotta live with his mama. He 22, he ready to get out the house, okay? Let's see, where should I go with this next? So let's talk about the people on the show and let's go off of last season. So I try to come on every season with a clean slate for people. I try not to hold on too much to what happened last season unless it was kind of dragged into this one. But I'm gonna say this. I did not like Mrs. Ashley by the end of season one. Didn't like her. And what I'm thinking now that I'm looking at it in the way that she's kind of positioning herself the first episode, it's giving me that she's just gonna kind of lean into the role of the villain. And that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Everybody gotta pick a side, pick a side, pick a side. I do think though when she says people just can't handle her because she's straight, or I'll see people be like, oh, she's just straightforward, she's just real, like, there's a way to be straightforward and not come off like, no disrespect, but like a bitch. Like, it's a way to do that. You can talk to people and tell them your opinion and tell them exactly how you feel without it coming off very rude, very disrespectful, very harsh. And I think that's probably Ashley's biggest problem. And also, she automatically says what comes to her mind, even if it's probably not the best situation to say it. So I said I'm going to try to give Ashley a new slate this season, but I really did not like her last season at all. Arena didn't really do much for me last season at all. It wasn't really good or bad. I felt like her storyline had the most potential out of everyone, which I think is gonna kind of like come to fruition more this season. I felt like she had a lot to work with last season, but we didn't really go but so far or as far as I would have liked. Um, who else did we have on that damn show? We already talked about Monique. And then and then Winter. Okay, so I will say this. If we really want to talk about it, last season Winter wasn't even a main, like she wasn't part of the main cast at all. But to be quite honest, the person who had the best storyline, who was really that girl of last season, was Winter, and that's just facts. Sis was a friend of the show and came with the best storyline because her marriage was a hot ass mess. Came in talking her shit, came in ready to da 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 da. Came in with the energy, with the attitude, with the everything that you need when it comes to being on reality TV. So it was like no shade, but like Winter wasn't even a main cast, and everybody said that this was across the board said last season that Winter for the most part carried last season. If it really wasn't for Winter last season, the first season would have been extremely boring, to be quite honest. It was because of her tacky ass marriage and her tacky ass ex husband, her getting into it with Ashley, her getting into it with some of the other, like that's really what carried last season. So I do see that Winter's gonna be here this season. I think that Ashley and Winter, their whole thing is gonna be like they're everybody, them two girls, they're fighting. They're fighting for the spot. They're fighting for the spot. So I think they're never gonna really truly get along because to be fair, after Winter, I do think that Ashley was probably the most like, I don't want to say necessarily liked, but I will say like the person who brought like the most. Maybe her individual storyline with her husband didn't bring much, but her attitude, her walk, her talk made her kind of second in line as far as like who brought something or who we should absolutely be bringing back for this season. So I think Ashley and Winter are never going to really see eye to eye because now it's always going to be this fight for being that girl, being the Nene, being the what's the other ones? Y'all know, y'all get what I'm saying. Being the main girl, trying to be the main girl, okay? So that's just that on how I feel about the cast. So like I said, so Arena was talking to Ashley or whatever. Ashley looks really good. Arena looks really good. Everyone still looks really, really good. And like I said, so they're gonna have this party for Jason. Now Arena talks about how she's having this problem with little Jamie still, how he pretty much like was supposed to go and get this job, but like that didn't work out because of his background. And then like he got this speeding ticket that came in the mail. It was like $120, and his father had sent it to him like, you know, you got this bill, you know, make sure you pay it. And he was like, well, can't y'all just pay it for me? Like, y'all know I don't got a job. Da 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 da. And somewhere in the text message, he was like, you know, my girlfriend hold me down more than y'all do, which is what really pissed him off. Pretty much like parents don't like that. Don't try to say that that a girl held you down better than they did. Especially, my thing is, it's one thing if it's true, but we all see that that's not true in this situation. That your parents have helped you as much as possible. So you know, she's just concerned that pretty much little Jimmy won't come to the party, and little Jimmy is 26 years old. We're gonna get into it, but that he needs to grow the fuck up. Okay. What else we got? What else happened? I really should just sit here and scroll through on my daggone thing. Hold on, y'all. Let me just see. Because to be quite honest, I can't truly remember everything that happened. Let's see. Give me a second, y'all. Okay, sorry, y'all. I remember where we at. So then, after that, we meet Joy and Clifton, I believe their name is. I think that they said that they met on Ready to Love, which is another OWN show. I don't watch those type of shows like that, but maybe I'll watch it one day to try it. But they talk about that. Talk about how they're having a new move, and how you know Clifton has two kids, one that's 18, another that's 4, by two different women. I said, "Ooh, girl, you're already stepping into a situation," but okay. And pretty much just saying, you know how Joy, is that her name? Yeah. Joy doesn't have any children, so she's pretty much gonna be like a bonus mom and new to this whole world and stuff. So like they seem like they're gonna be interesting. I seen Carlos tweet out that like Ashley and Joy, like they really gonna get into it, which we can kind of tell when we get to the party. What else happened after that? What else happened after that? So I think then there was a conversation between Ashley and Quick about pretty much like their son. So Quick feels like that Quick feels that Ashley coddles their son too much. Their son is 14 years old, and the main point of topic that they were talking about was the fact that she gets him up for school. This is how I feel about it. Well, Ashley feels like, he's 14, like, this is his first year of high school. Of course, I'm going to get up and make sure that he goes to school. And Quick's thing is well, at the end of the day, he has to grow up. You can't just keep coddling him all the time. I get what both of them they were saying, and I feel like everybody is right. I feel like it's something called balance. You have to be able to kind of balance the both. I do agree with Ashley in the sense of like it is his first year of high school. 8th grade or middle school to high school is a really big transition, because of the fact that for the most part, like, you're not as hovered over as much as you was probably prior. And I think that you need to be baby stepped into that. Now, from the other side though, from Quick side, I do get what Quick is saying. I think by the time he's like maybe like his second year of school, after he gets past his first year of high school, I do think like once he's in 10th grade, he needs to start trying to be a little bit more responsible for himself as far as getting up. Now, you as the mama can still get up and make sure, because we're like this. When I was in high school, by the time I hit high school, my mom did not wake me up. It was up to me to wake myself up. But to be fair, there are plenty of times, like Ashley said, because I am a kid, I would oversleep. So my mom would come knocking on the door like, da, da, da. You going to school, right? You going to school, right? So I think there's balance. I think you need to have both, because to Quick's point, it's like he is 14, and like I said, I do agree that his first year of high school, you should still probably be going in and making sure and getting him up like yourself. But I feel like once he gets into 10th grade, he needs to start taking on that responsibility, because to be quite honest, at the age of 15, you can actually start working. Like at 14, technically, you can start working for a lot of places, but at the age of 15, you can actually go out and get a job. And at that point, you are now stepping into the adult world. If you decide to get a job, you got to get yourself there on time. You got to make sure that you clocking in and doing everything. So it is good to kind of baby step them into being more independent. But I don't think that Ashley should just completely throw up her hands and be like, well, I'm done with you. Because a lot of parents, to be quite honest, once their kids hit high school, do kind of throw their hands up like, all right, it's on you. And it is a time to give them more independence, but that has to be guided. And I do agree with Ashley when she said that maybe part of Quick not getting that is because his parents died so young, so he didn't really have a mom that was going to be there to do all of this stuff. But I also will say, Ashley, don't feel like if you don't wake your kid up for school, he's not going to love you, because she talked about like and this is to me her own trauma kind of coming into the situation, because her mom wasn't around and stuff. She said, I'm never going to do that to my son, so I'm going to make sure I get him up every day, because I don't want him, he's never going to feel like I don't love him. I don't think if you don't get him up for school, he's going to feel like you don't love him. So I think they both have their own trauma that's kind of playing into the situation. But again, balance is the key word. Balance. What else do we have next? I think that was kind of pretty much everything. And then we get to the party pretty much, right? So we get to Jason's party. Arena is a little concerned, that little Jamie hasn't come just yet, but everybody come in, they do their little Jason comes in and stuff. He always be turned. Let me tell you something. Like Ashley said, I need Arena to tell me, when did you meet Albie Shore? Because that's his kid. I don't care. Or Jamie Senior, are you brothers or something with Albie Shore? You're not telling us, because that boy look just like him. Big facts. That is like my mama's end all be all, Albie Shore. Anyway, so like I said, everybody comes to the party. Let me see what happened. Okay, so when Joy and Clifton come to the party, sorry, before we get into that part, everybody was asking like, where's Monique and where's Chris, because they were invited but they did not show up. So then you have Joy and Clifton, they come in, and Joy pretty much is sitting down. It's like her, Ashley, it's like the girls, and the guys. in the middle of the party. And Joy pretty much says, you know, that she's gonna be doing, I think, like some little speaking engagement or something for single moms. And Ashley said, girl, but you're not a mom. And she was like, but they asked me to speak. And she said, do they know that you're not a mom though? And she was like, no, but they asked me to speak, so that's what I'm going to do. And then, you know, so it was just like that little bit of cattiness in between them. And Joy felt like, well, if it's supposed to be all kumbaya and sisterhood, why are you trying to tear me down? In this situation, girl, I will say that I kind of agree with Ashley to a degree. Now, see, I don't agree with the sentiment that just because you don't have kids, you don't have anything to contribute to the conversation when it comes to being a parent, and maybe some good things, some bad things that probably come with being a parent. I don't think that I don't agree with that. When people be like, "Oh, I don't want to hear something from somebody who don't got kids," I disagree with that because number one, like for me as somebody who doesn't have children, I feel like where I'm at in my life, I'm 28 years old. I feel like I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to being a parent simply because of the people that I'm around. I think the blessing to a degree of not having children so young is that you can see the mistakes that everybody else makes around you as parents. You can see them make mistakes, grow, try to change, the different ups and downs, especially if you're very close to people with children. Everybody that I know, not everybody that I know, but the people that I'm closest with, they have children, multiple children from all different variant ages. So I don't agree with the fact of you can't add anything to the conversation. However, I do think in a situation where we're specifically talking about being a single mom, I do think it is weird for you to talk about that and that not be your experience. You have not even really truly met your husband's kids yet. Now, this is the difference. I would still be on Ashley's side, but I will understand it a little bit more if it would still be weird to me, right? It would still be weird to me, and I would still agree with Ashley, but I would understand a little bit more if Joy was with Clifton a whole lot longer. So the kid that he has is 4. So if this was maybe like 5, 10 years down the line from now, maybe I can kind of understand her having more to say, but it feels like y'all just got together and you barely have even done anything. And then it's like, even once this child does come into your life, you're not going to be a single mom. Now, you might be able to flip it into what Ashley was saying last season, which is like she feels like she's a single mom because Quick does nothing to help. Now, you can speak on that, but I do think it's weird for you to not have children at all to speak on being a single mom. Now, I feel like you might be able to contribute to that conversation, but I don't think you can lead that conversation, if that makes sense. I guess that's what I'm saying. Because maybe your mom was a single mom, and so as the kid of that, you can maybe speak to some of the experiences or some of the things you've seen your mom go through being a single mom. But I feel like for you to lead that conversation, you probably, at the bare minimum, should be a mama. Does that make sense? Got it. I know I went on a rant about that. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. So then, uh, little Jamie ends up coming and whatever, says hi to everybody, and Jamie Senior is like, I'm gonna handle it, but not right now. We're gonna talk about it later. So then they go and they show Jason's. He had like a mural made, like, but where he can like touch it and feel it and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I cried. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely cried when they was talking about, you know, him moving on and stuff, because I have a cousin who has Down syndrome, and what they're talking about is real shit. Like, it took my cousin so long, so long to get into that program. And like, they have programs like that all over the place, you know, like where pretty much they would help her, you know, try to be independent, to learn how to do stuff for herself, live on her own and stuff. So like, yeah, that shit made me cry. I'm not gonna even hold you, it made me cry. Kind of the same way that like Alexia is going through that right now. If you watch the Real Housewives of Miami, she's kind of going through that with Frankie. It's like pretty much the same thing. So once they do all of that, Jamie Senior is like, let me talk to you, little Jamie. So bring little Jamie outside. And so he was like, so, you know, like, what's going on? You tell me from your perspective, like, what is it that I'm doing wrong? Like, tell me what's going on. So little Jamie's like, I just feel like I don't ask anybody for anything. And, you know, like, you just made it a big thing. And he was like, well, you pretty much said that nobody in this house helps you. And he was like, I didn't say that. So then Jamie Sr. reads the text message where he pretty much was like, I thought you said that you would help me, that's why I don't nobody but my girl cares about me. Now, did he say flat out like nobody in this house helps me? No, but that is pretty much that's what you were alluding to when you're saying that nobody but my girl helps me. Um, that's kind of what you're alluding to. Now, I don't understand this. I don't understand this, Mr. Lip Jamie. I don't get this. Your father told you that he pretty much still gives you, I think, $100 every week. Is that what he said? Did he say he gave him like $100 every week? Now, $100 a week is not a lot, and to be fair, but he could be giving you nothing, and that's what I didn't like when he said. Lil Jimmy was like, well, what is that supposed to do for me? I mean, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, he could give you nothing. He could give you nothing at all. That's what he could do. He could give you absolutely nothing, but regardless, your parents still help you. I get aggravated with this whole situation because I know a very, very similar situation where the kid in particular is like in their 20s, and it's like your parents are doing everything in their power to like help you, and when they don't do exactly what you want, how you want them to do it, you want to throw a fit, and now they're the worst people in the world. I do agree with Jamie Sr. that a lot of kids do have that mentality, but number one, I want to say it's not the 90s kids, because that's what I really came here to discuss. We not going to do all 90s kids, okay? Because I was born in 94. Now, maybe your kid's a little off, because I do find that the kids born from 95, like past 95, they're very much so different, right? But I was born in 94, and I'm going to tell you something right now. I have been working since I was 15 years old. The longest I have went without having a job to this day was 2 damn weeks, and that's about it. Okay, I'm about my money. I went to school. I worked while I was in school. All of that. People that I know that I'm friends with, same thing, been working their whole life. So don't put that on the 90s babies. Please, let's not do that. A lot of the problem here, to be quite honest, I know he said they like to blame the parents, and I do agree that a lot of kids, especially like in their early to mid 20s, have a hard time, if it's not already blatantly set, like how to separate the fact that you're now an adult. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like a lot of that comes from, not to blame the parents, but I feel like that comes from the way that y'all pretty much has brought him up. Like, kind of like Cook was saying, you're dealing with a very much so entitled kid. So, like Jamie Sr. was saying, yes, as parents, y'all wanted to try to give him everything in the whole wide world. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like y'all balance that out with consequences, if that makes any sense. They talking about at the age of 15, he was already getting in the streets and doing whatever. So my thing is, not to put it all on y'all, because I'm pretty sure y'all did the best that y'all could do, but there is obviously something that was lacking from y'all's side. It's just facts, and I know a lot of parents hate to hear that. It's not trying to call y'all bad parents. Y'all are not bad people. Y'all did the best that y'all could do. But to be quite honest, everybody has to take accountability in a situation. He's not the way that he is just because. Do you know what I'm saying? There's stuff that contributes to that. So I don't know what they did or did not do, but y'all do contribute to why he acts the way he acts now. Whether that's because y'all never want to tell him no, and y'all too scared to completely cut him off. Sometimes that's what you have to do. Trust me, I told my parents that. I told my parents, you have to completely cut my sibling off if you want them to get it. Because the thing about it is, some people, they will learn by you helping baby step them through stuff and baby step them through stuff. But some people, they don't look at it like that. They're gonna take everything, and when you don't give it to them, it's going to be a temper tantrum. And that's what little Jamie does. He literally sits there and throws a temper tantrum, and he's still acting like he's in high school when he is not. Nobody is obligated to take care of you, little Jamie. Nobody. You are 26 years old. You are a grown man. 30 is right there. It's right there. You don't want to be a 30-year-old that's living off of your girlfriend, that's bouncing from girlfriend to girlfriend house in the winter time so you can have somewhere to stay and putting up with girls that you can't stand. You don't want to be 30 years old and be looking around and have nothing, not even a damn roof above your head. You're not gonna feel good as a man. So Jamie and Jamie Sr., they're pretty much going back and forth or whatever. And so, you know, at this point, Lil Jamie just gets mad and walks away. So Jamie Sr. is like real upset. So he comes back into the party talking to Arena about it. And then the producers pretty much come and they're like, Jamie, we need you now. So they go into the hallway and you see Lil Jamie on the floor. He's pretty much like crying. And he's like, you know, it's like I try. And it's just never enough. It's never enough. And then, you know, Jamie Sr. is like, what the fuck is your problem? You need to get the fuck up. See, that is one of the problems of the parents from the 70s, is the fact that y'all like to raise y'all kids the way that y'all parents raised y'all, and that's not how that works. We are in a different age. We are in a different time. I'm not trying to say that I'm not trying to say, like, you know how people be like, oh, they're so soft. I'm not trying to say that. Like, you can't discipline your kid and you can't yell at them. But I feel like in that situation, that wasn't a point in time to yell. I get that. I get that he was pissed off. I get it. But if we're trying to learn and grow, that was not the time to yell at your son. He was crying. That was the time to pick your son up, take him to the side and talk to him again. Maybe y'all can have a better conversation and you can just simply explain to him. Because this is the thing. I'm going to tell you what it gets down to. He's afraid to grow up. As somebody who was his age 2 years ago, now I've never been in that situation because I've always taken care of myself. Like I said, since I was 15, I've always taken care of myself. But if I look at like my younger siblings or my younger cousins that are about that age and they kind of have the same kind of issue with their parents, it's because they're truly afraid to grow up. People are really afraid to have to be fully responsible for themselves in every single way. If I don't do what I'm supposed to do, I don't eat. I don't have nowhere to live. That, for some people, is just like a natural thing to take on. But for some people, especially if you've been, to be quite honest, like coddled and taken care of and spoiled your whole life, that's kind of hard. Like, I'm watching Blink Empire right now, which I'm gonna do a review on that too. And the girl, like, I think her family's worth like $2 billion, but her father told her, you spend way too much money and you're in school. Once you graduate school, you're cut off and you have to take care of yourself. And that can be extremely terrifying. Very much so terrifying. So I think that Jamie Sr. needs to come from that place of love. Like, I can understand that you're scared, but at the same time, you have to know, look around, we're gonna support you. But you have to be willing to put in the work. And that's the thing with Jamie. The best thing about it in your situation is that at least you're in a situation to where you still have the support around you. You got people out here who gotta just figure it out, and it is what it is. Your parents are never gonna let it to where you don't have anywhere to stay, to where you ain't got food in your stomach, to where you out here in the streets. Your mama love you too much for that. Maybe your daddy, but your mama love you way too much for her to do that to you. So my thing is, don't take advantage of that in the bad way. Take advantage of it in a good way. You let them be your support system for you to grow and become into the man that you need to be. It's not becoming of any man. Not no real woman, real shit is gonna want a man that can't take care of himself or her. That's just facts. You're going to always end up being with a woman who's going to pity you or be able to talk down to you crazy. You're not going to find a woman that respects you. No cap. No cap. And yeah. And the whole thing about, like, you know, I get him being disappointed about him not getting the job, but that's the thing. You have to keep pushing. You can't let that one thing be the reason you don't go after another. So pretty much it was to be continued because, you know, they was about to fight and stuff. But that's what I think about the first episode. Y'all tell me if y'all want me to continue to review this, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.